can't fix everything.
1989 may not be the official death of the physical cartridge, however I will credit this death as the beginning stages of the death of physical gaming hardware. Welcome. In this video we will talk about the evolution of video games and what the future of games might look like. Before we head to the future, we need to go back in time to 1976. This man, Jerry Lawson. Jerry is credited for creating the very first game cartridge and creating the very first home console with the capability of playing multiple games and the very first with the pause button. Unfortunately, this was not a popular system and it was discontinued in 1983. The F-channel system may have not taken off, but what did remain was the cartridge itself, and was made popular by the Atari 2600. The cartridge setup was pretty standard for all competition, like in television and ColecoVision. Atari was dominant with their consoles up until 1986 with the launch of the 7800, but Atari showed no match to Nintendo NES with a record sales of $1.1 million for that year. The NES also used cartridges, and Nintendo is clearly the new dominant player in the home video game console market. Now, with Nintendo being dominant for video games, there's another company who's also making major waves during this time period, and that company is Blockbuster Video. Founded by David Cook with his first store in 1985 with 8,000 VHS tapes and 2,000 beta tapes for rent. He also built a $6 million warehouse to support future store openings, and by 1987 the co-founder of Waste Management came on board and took Blockbuster nationwide. Business was good for Nintendo and Blockbuster until a line was crossed between the two companies, and in 1989, Blockbuster, Nintendo, and the cartridge itself was set to go on trial, as Blockbuster was renting Nintendo games, and Nintendo was screaming foul that this is copyright infringement. Back in the day, royalties were paid for movie rights, and you have Mr. Rogers to thank for the VCR. But for video games, it was the wild, wild west, and Nintendo was receiving nothing for the video game rentals. Blockbuster wins the lawsuit on a technicality. The ruling on the lawsuit can warrant a whole nother debate, and Congress amendment was put in place in 1990 that all computer software is on a CD and is subject to piracy and cannot be rented out. The exclusion, Nintendo games, they can be rented out. It is also rumored that congressmen that lobbied for this also had ties to Blockbuster. With the Nintendo cartridge now on life support, Nintendo fires back with another lawsuit, but with their own technicality. Remember Al Capone and tax evasion? This time Nintendo sues again for copyright. This time, instead of renting the game, it's for photocopying the manuals. This was ultimately settled out of court. The life of the cartridge after this lawsuit did linger until the GameCube that used a CD that came out in 2001. However, technically the first console to use a CD was a TurboGrafx CD in 1989. But it was 1995 when PlayStation hit the scene, and it was clear that CDs would be the future of video games. For starters, PlayStation and Xbox, you could play DVDs. This would change the classification of the console itself and protect the games under piracy under the Game Rental Act that was passed in 1990. You could do so much more with the graphics, storage, and not to mention the cost. It was way more cost effective to use CDs than cartridges. It appeared CDs were the future, and they were until 2001 Xbox Live. The ability to connect our consoles online and play with other people and have downloadable content. This right here was the beginning of the gaming future. Because of this, physical games are pretty much dead and extinct. The future will be all games must be downloaded and your device must be connected online. Game companies are making record profits with their subscription service, and you still have to purchase games that you do not hold a physical copy of. The game cartridge is dead. The CD games are dead or dying. Sure, we have places online and consoles that let us play all the new and retro games digitally. There's something about hooking a console up to an old CRT TV, blowing on that cartridge, flipping the switch that just cannot be reproduced digitally. The cartridge might be dead, but I'll keep looking through the flea market junkyards and the overpriced game conventions to keep adding to what I hope to be my entertainment for when I'm put away in the old folks' home. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I also hope to see you on the leaderboards.